You came from heaven, you loved me, gave up all you had, you saved me, your life was given, you loved me, so I live forever, you saved me, you made a way for me, you came to set me free. I believe in Jesus, I believe He came to save, I believe in Jesus Christ. I will trust in Jesus, I'll live to follow Him, I will trust in Jesus Christ. You came from heaven, you loved me, gave up all you had, you saved me, your life was given, you loved me, so I live forever, you saved me, you made a way for me, you came to set me free. I believe in Jesus, I believe He came to save, I believe in Jesus Christ. I will trust in Jesus, I'll live to follow Him, I will trust in Jesus Christ. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. Sing, sing, sing like you mean it. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. I believe, I believe, I believe. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. Sing, sing, sing like you mean it. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. I believe, I believe, I believe. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. Sing, sing, sing like you mean it. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. I believe, I believe, I believe. Yeah, I believe in Jesus, I believe He came to save, I believe in Jesus Christ. I will trust in Jesus, I'll live to follow Him, I will trust in Jesus Christ. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. Sing, sing, sing like you mean it. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. I believe, I believe, I believe. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. Sing, sing, sing like you mean it. Clap, clap, clap if you feel it. I believe, I believe, I believe.
Bible chapters for kids. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Now a new king arose over Egypt, who did not know Joseph. He said to his people, "Look, the Israelite people are more numerous and more powerful than we. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, or they will increase, and in the event of war, join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land." Therefore, they set taskmasters over them to oppress them with forced labor. They built supply cities, Pithom and Ramses, for Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. The Egyptians became ruthless in imposing tasks on the Israelites, and made their lives bitter with hard service in mortar and brick and in every kind of field labor. They were ruthless in all the tasks that they imposed on them. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other Puah, "When you act as midwives to the Hebrew women, and see them on the birth stool, if it is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, she shall live." But the midwives feared God. They did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but they let the boys live. So the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and said to them, "Why have you done this, and allowed the boys to live?" The midwives said to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives come to them." So God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and became very strong. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Every boy that is born to the Hebrews you shall throw into the Nile, but you shall let every girl live." Now a man from the house of Levi went and married a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine baby, she hid him 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him, and plastered it with bitumen and pitch. She put the child in it and placed it among the reeds on the bank of the river. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river, while her attendants walked beside the river. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her maid to bring it. When she opened it, she saw the child. He was crying, and she took pity on him. "This must be one of the Hebrews' children," she said. Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Yes." So the girl went and called the child's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child and nurse it for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed it. When the child grew up, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and she took him as her son. She named him Moses, because she said, "I drew him out of the water." I appeal to you, therefore, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of yourselves more highly than you ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. For as in one body we have many members, and not all the members have the same function. So we, who are many, are one body in Christ, and individually we are members of one another. We have gifts that differ according to the grace given us, prophecy in proportion to faith, ministry in ministering, the teacher in teaching, the exhorter in exhortation, the giver in generosity, the leader in diligence, the compassionate in cheerfulness. Now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, but others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then he sternly ordered them not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. This is the word of God for all God's people. And may all God's people say, Amen.
Christ is the world's light, Christ and none other, born in our darkness, he became our brother. If we have seen him, we have seen the Father. Glory to God on high. Christ is the world's peace, Christ and none other. No one can serve him and despise another. Who else unites us, one with God the Father? Glory to God on high. Christ is the words of life, Christ and none other. Sold once for silver, murdered here our brother. He who redeemed us reigns with God the Father. Glory to God on high. Give God the glory, God and none other. Give God the glory, Spirit, Son, and Father. Give God the glory, God with us, my brother. Glory to God on high.
Today's message comes out of this story that we find in Exodus. There are challenges, there's fear, there's hate, there's resistance, there's determination, there's hope, all bundled up in this story today. You have a king that lives by fear, who doesn't understand history, who looks out amongst this diverse community of his, and he's afraid of one particular group. There's too many of them. They're outnumbering us. They have too much money, too much power. He doesn't look at the past and the history of how that particular group that came and helped to preserve his nation and help it grow. In the story, there are these midwives, these women that have been told by the king that if the Hebrew women, the Israelites, if they have a little boy, they give birth to a boy, that boy must die. If they give birth to a girl, she may live. But in the story, these midwives, they serve as the resistance. They serve as the resistance. Their resistance is not born out of a political rift or a political challenge. They're not in opposition. Their resistance is born out of faith. Their fear or their reverence, their love for God, and their loyalties to God above all else leads them to become a resistance. How do they resist? They come up with one of the biggest, craziest lies that the king, Pharaoh, should understand is not true. But they are bold in the resistance to do God's work. And that resistance for them is to say to Pharaoh, "Oh, Pharaoh, my goodness, these Hebrew women, these Israelites, they are vigorous women. We can't get to them in time to kill these babies. By the time we get there, the baby, it's been delivered, and we can't say it was a stillbirth. Can't drop the baby, can't do any of that. The baby is already here. They're too fast for us." Common sense would say that's nonsense. But they give that argument to the Pharaoh, to the king, as to why these Israelites continue to have all these boys. Resistance. Sometimes we as the church have to be part of the resistance. That means we have to confront challenges in society and systems of oppression, whether it be in community, in government, in an organization, in an educational institution, whatever it might be. Sometimes resistance is an act of faith and part of our call. Notice in the story today, these midwives who've been resistant to the king receive favor from God, and they will have families and be blessed by God. Not all resistance is of God, but sometimes resistance and that movement, it is a work of faith. And that's what the story is today. Persistence is a story today. And the resilience of a people. It comes in the story of Moses' mother who gives birth to him during this decree that the boys should be killed. She gives birth to a healthy baby boy. And she's able to hide him for 3 months, but she can hide him no more. So in order to preserve his life, she is confronted with the greatest challenge any parent might be asked. And that is the challenge to sacrifice their child, to give up their child, so that that child might possibly live. Now, she puts the child in a waterproofed basket. She does not know for certain that this child's life is going to be preserved. But she has to do whatever she can in order that he might have a chance to live. Resilience, or should we say, this is an ultimate act of love. The willingness to give up one's own child, that that child or others might live. Where else have you heard that story in the scripture? The gospel lesson. For God so loved the world. You know the rest. He gave up his only child. So that whosoever believes in him would not perish. For God so loved the world. The sacrifice of Jesus. But back to where we are in this story. The love of a mother for her child. That she would do whatever she has to do, that he has a chance to live. That in and of itself is a powerful story, and one that many of us probably could not even conceive of doing. But there's more. Moses' sister watches the basket go out into the water, and watches as Pharaoh's daughter sees that basket and sends out a servant to retrieve this basket that's floating in the water to see what is in there. She sees that there is a child in this basket, a little boy. She takes that child to the Pharaoh and she pleads the case that she knows this is one of those Israelites, one of those Hebrew children. And the Pharaoh gives favor that she may raise the child as hers. A softening of the order of death. This child will be raised in the house of the Pharaoh. The intriguing part is when she needs a midwife who can care for this child, who can breastfeed this child till he's weaned off. And lo and behold, the child's biological mother is selected. And now not only does she get to have her child and continue to be part of his raising for now, she also gets paid. The story will continue in the journey where we will learn more about Moses. Moses will be educated in the finest institutions of Egypt, of history, of science, of mathematics, of literature, of theology. And he will be in a place of prominence in Egypt, in Pharaoh's house. Now we also know that the story will continue where Moses' anger will get the best of him and he'll have to escape. But then God will call him back to the land of Egypt. The story will continue with that. So we'll let it be there for now. But redemption and grace are powerful pictures in the story today. Where are you in the journey? I pray that you're not in the role of the king. For the king lives by fear and division. His rulings are founded in hate and misguided. He seeks to tear down rather than to build up. He seeks to divide and annihilate rather than draw close and build inclusively. The midwives. The midwives in the story, they're the healthcare workers. They're also the resistance. And they are the measure of faith in the story today. Then there's the mother and the family of Moses. Love is their story. Love. Pharaoh's daughter. There is a story of embrace and adoption. We see this in our faith narrative, both in the Hebrew Bible and in the New Testament. Within both the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament, however you call it, and in the New Testament, the Gospel and the epistles, the story speaks about the journey of faith. It's a story bound up in love and grace and truth. It's one that has bumps along the road, just like the journey that we are having right now. The struggle and the challenges of living in a time of a pandemic, in the midst of a contentious election, in the midst of the challenges of racial, ethnic, cultural differences and divides in our society. There are many challenges that are around us. These were happening in the times that are recorded in the scriptures as well. It's not new to us. But also in the story, in the scriptures, and in our day, there is an opportunity for hope, for love, for grace. the light and the love of God is available. It's there for us to embrace and to find and to be about. In the midst of life's challenges, sometimes we may find ourselves in a place where we are like that mother of Moses, overcome with the angst and the pain of what might come of her child. Not knowing what direction to go, but to follow faith. And she follows the leadings of God in that faith that this child might live. Do you know that God makes a way for us? Even in the midst of our struggles in life and where the challenges are, there God is, with the gift and the power of the Holy Spirit to encourage, to guide, and to be with us. Like these candles behind me, the light of God shines even in the midst of the dark days. Where are you in the journey? Where are you in the story? There's a whole lot more to the story. It speaks about redemption and grace. It speaks about love. It speaks about hope. It speaks about overcoming the darkness of division. We can do this because we are like the midwives, or we should be. The fear of God, that is the reverence, the love of God, is our guide. So we do things in embrace. Back to our current reality. Lockdowns and slowdowns and challenges abound because of a virus that we cannot see, but we know its destructive force. So the midwives, they come bearing the gifts of masks and sanitizer and the guidebooks of saying, wash your hands, don't touch your face, let cleanliness be a virtue. They come along and they give us pointers, and they also say, keep hope alive. Keep hope alive by continually being in the blessed presence of God here on earth as we prepare for the blessed presence in heaven. They come with us bearing the good news of vigorous faith. When we lean on our faith, God hears us. God sees us. And in God's time, we will see the blessings. Friends, I want you to keep hope alive, and I want you to have the faith of those midwives, and maybe even more, have the faith of Moses' mother. And trust that in the midst of challenge and sacrifice, God will provide. God holds us together. God keeps us together. God calls us for times such as this to say, you are a precious child of God, beloved and beautiful. And you are not forgotten or forsaken. You are loved and called into the presence of God. In our gospel lesson, Jesus speaks to his disciples as they are in the district of Caesarea Philippi. And they have this conversation about, who do you say that I am? i.e., who do you say that Jesus is. And Jesus calls them into a deeper relationship of understanding. Now, in this story, the gospel, Jesus will sternly rebuke the disciples, telling them, do not tell anybody that he is the Messiah at this time. The time will come. For us, the time has come. And that is to proclaim that Jesus Christ is Lord. The same Lord that those midwives have fear and reverence of God. Jesus calls us into relationship, calls us into embrace. And so I invite you to be in the presence of the Holy Spirit. Invite you to be in relationship with Jesus Christ. Let him be in your heart. Let him speak to your mind and to your soul. And have faith. Have faith that he will help guide us through this storm. Just as God guided those midwives through the storm of how to respond to the Pharaoh's order. Keep hope alive and be blessed. This week, may you be filled with the joy and the blessings of the Lord, to guide you, to empower you, to embrace you. May you be filled with the light and empowered. The stories of Exodus, the stories of faith. May God abound. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Gaga, Voice and Choral Director at Pierce College. Even though we're far apart and we can't sing together right now, the Pierce College Choir has put a virtual choir together. Please take a moment and watch our video. Go Brahmas!
Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Yes I know, oh 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 yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I hamba Elisha. Hamba, hamba Vangeli, hamba, hamba Vangeli, hamba Vangeli Elisha. Si hamba, hamba, hamba Vangeli, hamba, hamba Vangeli, hamba Vangeli Elisha. Insigne designe, hamba Vangeli Elisha. Insigne, hamba vangeli sha. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Oh yes I know, oh yes I know, oh yes I know, oh yes I know.
Thanks for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in joining the choir in the fall, please register for MUS 501. Remember, Pierce College is here for you. Stay well and sing on.
Hey, my name is Justin. I'm here with Olivia and Matt. We're part of the Core Worship Collective, and we're joining you here from our studio in downtown Kansas City. We're bringing you a new song tonight. We wrote this song just last week. It's based on the Wesley Covenant Prayer. And our hope is that wherever you are, no matter what you're going through, this song can also become your prayer in any situation. So it goes like this. We hope you like it. I am not mine, I am yours, God. So put me to your will alone. Whether used or laid aside, Lord, in joy or suffering, your grace be known. I give myself to you, to your pleasure and your use.
I am not mine, I am yours, God. So put me to your will alone. Whether you are laid aside, Lord, in joy or suffering, your grace be known. Lifted high or made low for you, emptied out or filled to overflow. Let me have all things, let me have nothing, and put me to your will and yours alone. And I give myself to you, to your pleasure and your use. I give myself to you, to your pleasure and your use.
We sing glories, God, Father, Son, and Spirit. You are mine, and I am yours, so be it. And let these covenants I made, oh yeah,
Lift your voices